Second, when the Director General has reported to the Home Secretary, it is the Home Secretary's responsibility to inform the Prime Minister or to make sure that the Prime Minister is informed. Thirdly, if the Attorney General is asked to authorise a grant of immunity from prosecution in a case involving national security, he should satisfy himself that the Home Secretary is aware that the request has been made. In cases of especial doubt or difficulty, the Attorney General or the Home Secretary, or both, may wish to see that the Prime Minister is also aware that the request has been made. The Attorney General and the Home Secretary should always be informed of the outcome of the offer of immunity. It is the responsibility of the Home Secretary to ensure that the Prime Minister is informed. So much, Mr. Speaker, for the procedures between the Security Service and ministers. I turn now to another matter. I am advised that since 1967, successive Prime Ministers and Home Secretaries have all been informed about the position on Blunt. Further, as I indicated in my written reply, the matter was also brought to the attention of successive Attorneys General in 1972, in June 1974 and June 1979. This was to inform them of the immunity that had been given. Any legal matters will be dealt with by my right honourable and learned friend, the Attorney General, when he replies to the debate. I have been asked, Mr. Speaker, why a day's notice of my intention to reply to a written question was given to Professor Blunt's solicitor. Had there been any question of prosecuting Blunt, of course there would have been no advance notice, and indeed no detailed reply for that matter either. Since there was no question of prosecution, there was no question of enabling Blunt to escape justice. His name had already been published, and it was reasonable, therefore, to tell his solicitor that I was going to give the facts in reply to a question in this House. Clearly, the public services are an attractive target for Soviet penetration, and the security service especially so. The service is very conscious of that danger. Indeed, in the light of all that's happened, it should be. Procedures for recruitment, vetting and monitoring members of the public services who have access to classified information have been much extended and improved. Of course, nothing can be absolutely proof against penetration. In a democratic society, it is always possible that a few will try to use freedom to destroy freedom. We must do everything we can to prevent them. May I sum up, Mr. Speaker? First, the procedures under which the Security Service is directly responsible to the Home Secretary were scrupulously followed. After 1967, successive Prime Ministers and Home Secretaries were all informed about this case. Second, the immunity was offered to Blunt to get information on Soviet penetration into the public services. Neither at the time nor since has there been any evidence on which he could be prosecuted. I am advised that a confession obtained as a result of an inducement given would not be admissible as evidence in any prosecution. Third, the events of this case began well over 40 years ago. Many of the principal figures concerned, some of whom I have mentioned, have long since retired, and some have died. For obvious reasons, it is therefore not possible, and never will be, to establish all the facts accurately. These are some of the factors that will have to be taken into account in deciding whether there should be an inquiry, a matter on which my honourable friends and honourable members will doubtless wish to express their views. Fourth, we have now put beyond doubt the arrangements for reporting to and consulting the Home Secretary and the Prime Minister on security matters. In practice, May I go straight through? It is a very carefully marshalled statement. In practice, my right honourable friend, the Home Secretary, and I both make a point of keeping in close touch with the Director General of the Security Service. Fifth, it is important not to be so obsessed with yesterday's danger that we fail to detect today's. We know what happened to a very few. We know what happened to a very few of that pre-war generation who had Marxist leanings and who betrayed their country. We find it contemptible and repugnant. Our task now is to guard against their counterparts of today. Finally, Mr. Speaker, the Security Service, by its very nature, has to work in secrecy. It cannot therefore defend itself in public. That task falls to ministers. The government's purpose is to do everything possible to improve the morale and effectiveness of the security service and to do nothing to undermine or weaken it. In that aim, I believe we shall have the support of the House.